Hey everybody, I'm Pastor Joshua Sullivan at Holy Cross Lutheran Church in Kerrville, Texas, and you are watching ATP Ask the Pastor. Real quick before we get to today's question, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell so you don't miss upcoming episodes. Also, check out the links that we have in the video description below. We've answered over 500 questions here at ATP, and you can search the database and see if your question has already been asked and answered there. All right, today's question. Dear Pastor, I've seen your videos about St. Peter and the issues with interpreting the rock in Matthew 16. What confuses me is why the Bishop of Rome would be the successor to St. Peter rather than the bishop of any other places where the apostle taught. It would appear that a bishop of Antioch, for example, would have a greater claim as successor to St. Peter than the Bishop of Rome would. All right, so the claim that the Bishop of Rome is the successor of the Apostle Peter is based upon three interrelated ideas. The first is that Peter, rather than Christ, is the rock upon which Christ promises to build his church in Matthew 16. The second is the tradition already present in the second century with writers like Irenaeus that Peter and Paul were co-founders of the Roman church as well as martyrs in Rome during Nero's reign. Now, while the tradition of martyrdom comes very early, Scripture is silent about who founded the church in Rome. And based on the epistles of both apostles, it seems highly unlikely. Now, it is evident from 1 Peter 5:13 that Peter wrote his first epistle from Rome. Eusebius records that Peter was preaching in Rome during the reign of Claudius, who reigned from 41 to 51 AD. So that's possible. But Jerome's comment that Peter held the sacerdotal chair there for 25 years until the last, that is, the 14th year of Nero, is probably actually a misunderstanding of what another writer, Lactantius, wrote. He wrote, during 25 years, until the beginning of the reign of the Emperor Nero, the apostles occupied themselves in laying the foundations of the church in every province and city. And while Nero reigned, the apostle Peter came to Rome. However, neither of these ideas, by themselves or combined, necessitate that the Bishop of Rome is Peter's successor, because, as you point out, Peter preached in many places. Jerome tells us that Peter had been the Bishop of Antioch, and the Apostolic Constitutions, the author of that, claiming to be Peter, states that he ordained Evodius as the first bishop of Antioch. Now, since the apostles were itinerant preachers, their call was to preach the gospel to all nations. But both ideas, interpreting Peter as the rock and claiming that he founded or co-founded the Church of Rome, still doesn't answer the question why Rome and not somewhere else like Antioch, where we know Peter preached. Because the answer actually lies elsewhere. And this is the third idea that ties them all together. It seems to be that the answer is simply because Rome was the imperial capital, while Antioch was only a provincial capital. So the Roman Republic, and then the empire after it, consisted of Roman Italy and its provinces. Now, whenever Rome would annex a foreign territory, it would form a province, an administrative area, over which a Roman governor would be appointed. The capital of each province was the seat of its government and also its economy, its business. And Antioch was one of those provincial capitals. It was founded in 300 BC by Seleucus I, one of Alexander the Great's generals. It was the capital of the Seleucid Empire until 64 BC when Rome annexed it and made it the capital of the Roman province of Syria. It was the Roman army's eastern headquarters. It was also an economic hub due to its location on the commercial road between Asia and the Mediterranean. And its population ranged anywhere from 200,000 to 600,000 in the first century AD. It also, we know, had a very sizable Jewish population. And this all contributed to make it the third largest city in the Roman Empire behind Rome and Alexandria in Egypt. So Antioch's size, its strategic location, and its Jewish population made it an obvious place to preach the gospel and to serve as a launching point for Christian mission efforts, then, which is precisely what we see in the book of Acts. Now, as the church was planted, it adopted many aspects of the Roman administrative system. And two interrelated aspects were the provincial boundaries and the idea that the metropolis was the capital of the province. So provincial boundaries constituted church territories then, and the bishop of the metropolis then was considered the ranking clergyman of the province. Now this is implied by the fourth canon of the Council of Nicaea. The canon reads, "It is by all means proper that a bishop should be appointed by all the bishops in the province. But should this be difficult, either on account of urgent necessity or because of distance, 3 at least should meet together, and the suffrages of the absent bishops also being given and communicated in writing, then the ordination should take place. But in every province, the ratification of what is done should be left to the metropolitan." Now, the Council of Antioch, which met a few years later in 341, explains the Nicene canon more explicitly in its 9th canon. It says, "It behooves the bishop in every province to acknowledge the bishop who presides in the metropolis, and who has to take thought for the whole province, because all men of business come together from every quarter to the metropolis. Wherefore it is decreed that he have precedence in rank." So each province constituted an independent church district with the metropolitan bishop as the chief ranking clergyman of the entire province. Now, add to this the fact that some metropolitan churches had special prerogatives when it came to jurisdiction. So at the time of the Council of Nicaea, for instance, the Bishop of Rome acted as the metropolitan bishop not only of Rome and Italy, but also of southern Italy, Sicily, Sardinia, and Corsica, which were separate provinces. The Bishop of Antioch acted as metropolitan of Cyprus at that time, and perhaps other provinces. And Canon 6 of Nicaea recognized the same prerogative then for the Bishop of Alexandria, so that he could continue to act as metropolitan of Libya and the Pentapolis, areas west of Egypt, which were different separate provinces. Now, it wasn't just the church then that recognized the prerogatives of certain provincial sees. Even the pagan government recognized this as well. So in 272, prior to Constantine, when the deposed heretic Paul of Samosata wouldn't relinquish his church building, the Christians in Antioch, they petitioned the emperor Aurelian. And Eusebius records that the emperor ordered the building to be given to those to whom the bishops of Italy and of the city of Rome should adjudge it. So Aurelian seems to have understood the bishop of Rome's jurisdiction over the church to be analogous to the emperor's jurisdiction over the entire empire. The bishop of the imperial capital is the chief bishop of the church throughout the empire. Now, Rome would reorganize itself several times throughout its history, and those administrative changes affected the church to some degree. But generally, Rome held its claim of primacy, at least in the West, because of the status of Rome itself. So the interpretation of Petrine primacy, that Peter is the rock in Matthew 16, and the tradition that Peter founded or co-founded the Church of Rome, again, by themselves aren't reason enough for the Bishop of Rome's claim to be Peter's successor. But these ideas form the theological justification for the fact that, to the Roman mind, the imperial capital serves also as the ecclesiastical capital. Hope this helps. Don't forget to send your questions to atpholycross@gmail.com, and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Until next time, God bless.